Today, I'm sharing the psychology-based marketing model that's helped me generate more than $250 million in sales and $10 million in investment for my clients. Now, this isn't some temporary algorithm hack or like a shiny new trend that's going to stop working in 6 months. My choice hacking model is built on the fundamentals of buyer psychology, which doesn't really change. So that means what I'm going to show you today is going to work as well in 10 years as it does right now. Now, this model is going to help you find more followers, turn those followers into believers, buyers, and repeat buyers. They can help you create a business that generates consistent $20,000 months and beyond. So let's get into it. So first, if you don't know me, my name is Jen Clinehens. I'm the founder and managing director of Choice Hacking, and I created the model that I'm about to show you based on my 15 plus years of experience working with businesses of all sizes, from solo consultants and coaches, agencies, creators, small and medium-sized businesses, all the way up to my Fortune 500 clients like McDonald's, T-Mobile, Microsoft, AT&T, Adidas, Starbucks, and a whole bunch more. Now, one of the things that I hear from my clients all the time is how they feel like marketing is constantly changing. The tactics and the platforms, the goalposts, it just always feels like it's moving. And it leaves them feeling like they're kind of grasping at straws all the time. They're not really sure what's going to work from one week to the next. This is especially true if you're someone who's running their own business and maybe you're not a marketing expert, or maybe you even hate marketing. A lot of people do. Or if you're a business that doesn't have a dedicated marketing person to help you find new leads, buyers, and clients. Everybody feels this instability in marketing at some level. But the choice hacking model that I'm about to show you can help you feel much more in control and less of a victim to trends and overnight algorithm changes. And the last few years in particular have been really bad for constant changes. I mean, it's an AI world everywhere now, but in marketing especially. And I've seen a lot of folks thinking they can just delegate like all their marketing to ChatGPT. But the thing about AI, it's not that it's like evil or bad, but the thing that you do have to realize is that AI is an exponential tool. It doesn't multiply, it compounds. And the secret about exponential tools, like AI, is that they magnify weakness. So they can put a lot of load on your business foundations really, really quickly. And if your foundations are weak, the business will collapse. So if you start with a broken marketing model and then you decide to add AI, you're really just kind of speed running your way into failure and frustration because you're accelerating a broken system. The real secret to solving all these problems, the trends and the algorithms in AI, is to get your fundamentals working and then add AI to the mix. And that's what the choice hacking model does. It's kind of like laying the foundations of a house. And that foundation is based on 4 pillars, the phases that people have to go through to become your buyers. Now, every business has these 4 phases in common, no matter their size, their market, or their industry. These are the foundational steps a person has to go through to become a buyer and then a repeat buyer from your business. They are follower, believer, buyer, and repeat buyer. The real game is in the psychological nuance of how you get people from one stage to the next. The first step is somebody comes across your content. They're essentially like a stranger to you, right? But they like what you have to say and they decide to follow you. And in this first stage of getting someone from a stranger to a follower, I actually see so many of my clients making a really well-intentioned mistake. They've heard so many times over and over that you have to give away all your value to get followers. Free checklists, free ebooks, free templates, free how-tos, whatever it is. And then eventually, the story goes, someone will be thankful enough or feel guilty enough to buy something from you. And I will say, like 15 years ago, this worked, but not anymore. Most buyers are just more sophisticated now. And I call this type of detailed free content value content. And it's really an internet 1.0 idea. I kind of blame Gary Vee, who wrote a book in 2013 called Jab, Jab, Right Hook, where he popularized this approach. And it's not really like his fault because it worked at the time, like 15 years ago, but really just for his kind of business, which is running a big corporate ad agency where he's selling Fortune 500 businesses, big ad campaigns and retainers and Super Bowl ads that cost them millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I know that because that's the world where I started my marketing career. But once I left that type of environment, I saw firsthand how that value approach just doesn't work for like 99% of real life businesses because we're just running a different type of business from the people like Gary Vee and Alex Ramosi. When you give everything away, instead of attracting people ready, willing, and able to pay you, do, you get tire kickers, you get competitors stealing your ideas, and you attract an audience of people who you are training to expect free stuff from you. Then they flake when you ask them to buy something. And I know this because to some extent I did this when I first started choice hacking back in 2019. And I've also had tons of clients come to me with really big audiences and followings who have this problem. They have sometimes 200,000, 500,000, a million followers, and they were making a fraction of a penny per follower because they just built their audience the wrong way, like giving everything away. But here's the thing about this that really breaks my heart. Your skills and your expertise and your experience in your products, they're priceless and valuable. Like, you shouldn't just be giving them all away for nothing. Sure, you might get a lot of followers, but by giving away your most valuable assets, your thinking and your process. And if you're a consultant or a coach or an agency or a trainer, your thinking and your process are your business because you are your business. And if you're selling a product, you can get seduced by this too. You start giving away huge discounts to get people on your email list or to make that first purchase. And pretty soon, you've trained your audience to expect and wait for big discounts and sales before they'll buy. So how do we fix this? Well, by creating a mix of what I call insight content and value content, and the ratio of about 60% insight and 40% value. And by the way, that ratio did not just come out of nowhere. It's actually based on some extensive marketing effectiveness research done by two very famous marketing effectiveness researchers called Les Binet and Peter Field. Now, you might be saying to yourself, this all sounds fine and dandy, but Jen, what is insight content? Okay, well, this is going to vary by the type of business that you run, but basically it's showing people why they should do or pay attention to something, not how exactly they should do it, because that's value. Insight is your ideas, your philosophies, your code, your counterintuitive lessons about your expertise in industry. These are the kind of things that attract big fish buyers, people ready and willing to buy what you offer. Big fish buyers just have a different psychology than tire kickers and minnows. They're looking for people who are like them, people who are insightful, who care deeply about what they do, who think deeply about what they do, and have the professional experience and discernment to help these big fish accomplish their big goals faster. Whether that's growing their own business, conveying a particular identity to the world around them, getting promoted, getting in shape, selling their house, training their staff, whatever it is. Big fish just look for different things. And so to attract them, you need to talk to them differently. And we do that with insight, not value. And by the way, if you want to learn more about creating insight content so you can attract buyers ready and willing to pay you, I help people do that every day inside of my community, Choice Hacking Pro, or in my one-on-one coaching. I've dropped the details for both in the description. Okay, step 2. Now that we have the right kind of followers, how do we turn them from followers to believers? And I define a believer as somebody simply getting on your email list, because once you get them on your list, that's where you create a relationship and you can sell your service or your product to them much more easily than on socials or other places, because email is the most powerful trust and sales channel that there is. As an example from my own business, my email list is about 10% of my total audience, but about 98% of my sales come straight from email. Without email, to be frank, I just wouldn't have a business. Now, most gurus and digital marketing people will tell you to give away tons of free stuff, like a lead magnet, to get people on your email list. And that works, but again, that's gonna get us the wrong kind of subscribers, the tire kickers and the minnows, when what we want are the big fish. Now, the big fish are the people who know, like, and trust you. That's why when you wanna turn somebody from a follower to a believer, you can't just tempt them with any old free stuff. You have to give them what I call free but me, meaning it has to not only be insightful and valuable to them, but it has to start to create a meaningful relationship between you and them. These are lead magnets that don't give away all your free secrets and hard-won experience. That's the stuff that the minnows want. Big fish buyers want to see your insights and your ideas, and most importantly, they have to get to know your face and your voice so they can start to know, like, and trust you on a deeper level. That's what Free But Me is all about, creating a lead magnet that doesn't just attract the right people, but starts to create a parasocial relationship that generates trust. It also gives us an opportunity to inject a few key psychological levers into the lead magnet that can help us build trust even faster. This Free But Me lead magnet is going to set us up for the next stage of the process. Step 3 is once they're on the list, we have to give them a reason why to buy. Now, you could say, because I'm the best, because I've worked with such and such big client, because we've done X, Y, and Z. But when you just give people reasons why, it doesn't really make them move. You know, we all have reasons why, to get fitter, to quit sugar, to quit smoking, whatever. But basically, nobody does it. And this is actually a psychological principle known as the intention-action gap. So the change that we have to make here to get people to do what we want them to do is to shift the call to action from why to buy to why and why now. In other words, urgency. The thing about urgency, though, that why now, is that how you use it really depends on your individual business, industry, brand, and buyer. Because what works for Walmart is not going to work for Chanel. In the same way that what works for Gary Vee's multi-million-dollar creator business is probably not going to help a solo coach or consultant, a small agency, or even an e-commerce business. They're just different. That's where knowing your buyer psychology is really going to become a game changer for you and create a marketing system that consistently transforms strangers into buyers. This is something that I help my clients do in my community, Choice Hacking Pro, and in my one-on-one coaching. We work together to tweak your funnel and to find a why now that works best for your buyer and brand, that doesn't lower your status or make you seem too salesy or annoying or needy or desperate. And once we understand what's driving your buyers to buy now, we get a glimpse into why they would buy again. Now, psychology tells us that repeat purchases are basically driven by one of two things: habit or timing. I call this the momentum effect, and when we decode how each one drives your buyer to buy from you again, we can install a system to build buyer habits, perfect your timing, or a little bit of both. This momentum effect is going to turn your marketing from a one-sided shout into the void into a true relationship that's mutually beneficial for you and your buyers, making repeat purchases a real no-brainer. Now, the model I just shared already increases your leads, buyers, and client flow and increases their speed to purchase. When we put them together, I call these 4 foundational steps the trust funnel. Because here's the thing, everybody needs a guy or a gal to do something. Do you know a guy who can fix the sink? Do you know a guy who can paint my house? Do you know a guy who can help me find more leads? But very few people are going to trust and believe in a business so much that they raise their hand and they say to their friends or family or coworkers, yeah, I have a guy or a gal to recommend. But ideally, you want your business to be the person that they recommend, and you become that person that other people will vouch for by building trust using the trust funnel. So how do we do this? Well, let me start with a question. Do you know what the best offer of all time was for Domino's Pizza? It was get your pizza in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Now, I want you to imagine that Ferrari did that. No way. It doesn't work. They're going to go bankrupt because they just have 2 different types of brands and 2 different types of buyers. What it really comes down to is this. You need to understand which psychology principles to use in which scenarios for which types of buyers. And what I've created after working for more than 15 years with solo, small, and Fortune 500 businesses like Starbucks, McDonald's, Microsoft, T-Mobile, and a whole bunch more is a stockpile of knowledge, kind of like a marketing psychology toolkit of hundreds of psychological biases, tools, and tactics that work, plus the knowledge of which ones work best in specific situations, industries, brands, sizes of company, and buyers. We're going to use that marketing psychology toolkit to create marketing that's at least twice as effective for your business, way faster than if you tried to install a similar system on your own. Now, the strategy, once you and I work together, is that we deeply understand the psychology of your business and buyer. So we don't just add a bunch of extra stuff to your business that won't work for you and waste your time. What we do instead is install the choice hacking model, which is built on strong fundamentals like buyer psychology and the trust funnel. Then we tweak and customize it with the right marketing psychology principles, tools, and frameworks that will work best for you. Here's the secret a lot of people won't tell you. Using buyer psychology is not just about knowing a list of principles and cognitive biases and mental models and thinking that that's going to be enough to fix your business, because knowledge isn't power. The right knowledge in the right place, that's real power. So we have to choose the psychology principles that your buyer is going to resonate with the most. Now, every business is different, but here are the guidelines I've developed from working with hundreds of clients. Step 1 is the trust funnel that aims to get a 50% increase in marketing effectiveness just by taking what you've already created, organizing and streamlining it, and then tweaking it with psychology, and then letting the system cook. Step 2 is the marketing psychology toolkit, where we apply the right psychology principles for your specific business, brand, and buyer. This aims to add another 50% increase in marketing effectiveness. And now that the trust funnel and the psychology principles are installed and working away, we validate it. So validating comes from the Latin word validus, which means strong. And for you to know without a doubt that your trust funnel is as strong as it can be, you just need to get it in front of real people. So once you have everything in the trust funnel validated, that's that's when we start using psychology-based AI. Now, we don't use AI to save you 10 minutes here and there, because saving 10 minutes here and there is not going to transform your business. Instead, we use it to accelerate a system that's already working. So now your business is like a car with a brand new, perfectly functioning engine straight out of the factory. You know it's going to work. It's been installed just right in your business. We've validated it with real customers, and now we just have to hit the gas with AI. And this is what we do inside of my community, Choice Hacking Pro, and in my one-on-one business coaching. We lay out the 4 foundations of the trust funnel, and we build bridges between each step with insight content so you can attract big fish buyers and leads, free but me lead magnets so these big fish buyers can know, like, and trust you faster, adding in the right kind of urgency to get people to buy, not just the why, but the why now, and picking and choosing the right psychology principles for my marketing psychology toolkit of tactics, tools, and frameworks that I've used to create more than $250 million in sales and more than $10 million in investment for my solo, SMB, and Fortune 500 clients. Then once it's validated with real customers, we use AI to hit the gas, doubling marketing effectiveness to get your sales and profit on the path to double as well. The reality is, every business is different, but this fundamental stuff just works, especially when we use buyer psychology to power it. And the beautiful thing is, it's going to keep working for 5, 10, 15, 20 years if you want. When you nail the fundamentals of buyer psychology and marketing and apply them in the trust funnel, it just becomes so much easier to make marketing that works consistently with less time, less money, fewer people, but bigger results. And when you're ready to grow your business with science and not guesswork, I've dropped the links to learn more about how to join Choice Hacking Pro and my one-on-one coaching in the description. Until next time.